Some new information on the court-martial of Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. This morning, a military judge decided his trial will be delayed until February. This comes after the government requested it be pushed back, citing the need to properly review and prepare classified documents. Now, the delay also means Bergdahl will not face justice until after the next president is inaugurated. Lise Wheel is a Fox News legal analyst. Bob Bianchi is a criminal defense attorney. Why are they pushing it back, Lise?
Well, the prosecution asked for it to be pushed back to December, actually not to February, which is what the judge did. They're battling over records, documents here that the prosecution said could be classified, and they don't want them to be sent over to the defense. The court is saying, look, we have to go back and forth on this to see what are classified, what the defense is going to get, what the defense is not going to get. The defense is asking for all documents in this case. Now, in my estimation, there really aren't that many, but in some terms, maybe there could be up to 3,000 pages of documents.
Well, they are also saying the defense is that Bo Bergdahl has become something of a political football in the campaign season. Right. Listen to what Donald Trump has said about Bo Bergdahl in the past.
We get a traitor named Bergdahl, a dirty, rotten traitor, who, by the way, when he deserted, 6 young, beautiful people were killed trying to find him, right? And you don't even hear about him anymore. Somebody said the other day, well, he had some psychological problems. Well, you know, in the old days, bing, bong.
So that is one of the things that the defense avoids by getting this thing moved until after the election. Is that the kind of thing that in a civilian court would be called prejudicial publicity?
Now, this is a politician who has a perfect right to be able to let the American public know what he thinks about a particular situation. In the judicial system, there is all sorts of prejudicial comments made about defendants prior to their trial. The judges have the ability to vet out jurors to make sure that they're not prejudiced. And hopefully, of course, if Mr. Trump becomes the president of the United States, I would assume he would separate himself from all of this in terms of prosecution and say to his officials that are in charge of prosecution, guys, you do whatever you think is the right thing based on the facts of the law. So these comments are comments made by a political person in a political arena, perfectly legitimate. I don't think that they're going to affect this trial whatsoever.
But here's the deal, Bob. I mean, my son's a soldier. There are less than 500,000 Army soldiers right now. He's going to be tried by a jury of his peers, right? So it's going to be other soldiers who will be hearing this court-martial. Everybody in the Army has an opinion about what Bo Bergdahl has done. And
this is what judges do when they, in big high-profile cases, it happens all the time, I've tried them, the judge will try to vet out and make sure that they will do it based upon the evidence in the law. They will do an extensive voir dire of each juror to make sure that they can do that. And when they're satisfied, both the defense and the prosecution and the judge, that can happen, they will get a fair jury
And that's
panel.
why that voir dire is going to be very, very extensive. It's not going to take just a couple of hours. It's going to be very long, because you're exactly right. There are going to be people on that voir dire that say he is a traitor. Before they even hear one iota of evidence, they're going to say it is a traitor. We want to execute this man. Well, they can't execute him. The most he can get is life in prison. But that we do agree with Trump before they've even heard anything, and that's going to take a long time to get that jury seated.
But the documents that the defense is looking over, those were just recently turned over to them, right?
Yeah, and there are estimates that it could be up to 300,000 documents. But here's the thing about this particular legal ruling. There's nothing unusual about it. The judge released, in order to have a fair trial, the defendant is entitled to the information the government has. The government was concerned that they were violating the OCA, the Classification Act, and went to the court for clarification, appealed it, and said, wait a second, we don't want to release these documents the judge is telling us to release to the defense counsel unless they clear OCA. And the court in the appellate division, it's a little complex, said no. If the government has a specific legitimate security interest, then they can do a privilege log, we call it. They could show it to the court, and they can tell the court specifically with each of the documents why they don't believe it should be turned over to the defense.
Even within a document, some things can be redacted. Even within a document, you can say, oh, well, part of it can be turned over, but other things have to be redacted within it. It goes. That's why it takes some time. But I am a little bit. I do think from December to February, it just seems like this thing is being really pushed down, and again and again. It was supposed to start in August.
Yeah, but what a turnabout. I mean, remember when President Obama had Bo Bergdahl's parents in the Rose Garden, welcoming home this last prisoner of war.
And now he's going
to be
court-martialed.
Yeah, what a story. Bob Bianchi, Lise Wheel. Thank you both.
Thank you, John.